Hey gamers, today we're going to look at the American Dream. Let's check it out. Now before I start, they give you this little success book here in the game, and it basically tells you the success stories of each one of the stocks and franchises that you can play as. I found that interesting. This has nothing to do with the game. The instructions are written on the back of the box lid, like all the old ones were back in the day. So it's kind of interesting why they give you this success book. It's an interesting read too, and very educational, so I thought that was really cool. Anyway, setup for the game is very simple. What you're going to do is each player is going to start off with $50,000 in beautiful paper money, as you can see the denominations there. All right, now from that you're also going to get one Prudential card, one Experience card, and two American Dream cards. Now, very briefly, Prudential cards are all the same. They all say the same thing, and they're going to protect you against loss. Now, what does that mean? Well, on some of these numbers or spaces on the board, you could get a trap. Now, a trap card is always bad, but it will say if it is insurable or if it is not insurable. Now, if it is insurable and you have a Prudential card, you can use your Prudential card to cancel that insurable accident and not have to pay the fine. And then, of course, both of them go away and they go back into their respective decks there. Now, if you run out of Prudential cards, where can you get more? Well, if you see these little corner spaces here called Destiny, it says choose any card. That's where you have the choice to choose another Prudential card if you want. You may have as many as you want, but once you use them, they get discarded back into the pile. Now, in the game, you're going to be rolling 1, 2, or 3 die. These aren't the die for the game. My copy did not come with dice, but they're just 6-sided die. And so you can choose 1, 2, or 3. Now, there are benefits of rolling either ones. For instance, if you were to only roll 2, if you roll doubles, then you would get a pay increase on your little pay tracker here. Now, everyone's salary tracker starts off at $10,000. It can go all the way up to $155,000. But if I were to roll doubles, rolling 2 die, not 3, then I would get a $5,000 raise. If I rolled triples by rolling 3, I would get actually a $10,000 raise. And raises are given every time you pass through the imagination square on the start of the board. So this is your salary tracker, and that's how you're going to get more income in the game. Now, Experience cards are a little bit different. They give you little bonus movements. So it can be 1, 2, or even 3 spaces. Now, you get to decide when you want to use these. You can use all, you can use one. You don't even have to roll. You can just say, I want to use one of my Experience cards, or I want to roll 1 die, and then maybe afterwards, do I want to use some of my Experience cards? And the reason for that is there are particular spots on the board that you may really want to land on. So that's why you would only want to roll 1 die. Or maybe use experience points just to get to that, to ensure that you land on that space. Because, you know, wherever you go, certain spaces are very imperative, depending on your American Dream cards, which will give you certain goals in the game. So before I get into all that, let me tell you about some of the basic stuff. What you're collecting is you're going around the board and you're collecting stock here in certain franchises, or get the franchises up here. These are the big franchises. This is stock and those corporations here. Now, if I was to land on one of these orange spaces, as you see on the board, I would get to buy a franchise. So for instance, if I landed on Holiday Inn, let's say, then I would have to pay $30,000 and I could pick up a franchise for Holiday Inn. Now, if I already had a franchise for Holiday Inn, whenever I land on that, I would automatically get $10,000 per franchise I have. So if I had already 2 Holiday Inns, I land on this, I would automatically receive $20,000. And I could also buy an additional one for $30,000. Now, each time you buy a franchise, whichever one it is, that's going to up your salary again another $10,000. So that'd be a reason why you want to buy salaries. Now, the other one, these stocks here in these various companies, every time you land on one, you pay $10,000 and you can pick up the one that matches the space that you're on. And And if you already own stock in that certain area, for instance, if I landed on Hershey's chocolate and I already had 4 stock certificates, I would actually get $15,000 because it's $5,000 per stock. Now, so you can build up on your stock, and you can also cash in on stock if you get the blue chip dividend. If you land on blue chip dividend, then any of the stock that you own, all of it, you multiply it by $5,000, and that's what you get. So if I had 10 stocks in various corporations here, and I land on blue chip dividend, I would get $50,000. So these are just various ways to improve your income throughout the game. Now, of course, there are other areas here on the board where you see it says stock fight. And what these ones do is when a player lands on stock fight, blue player, let's say, challenges yellow player for all of their stock, one at a time. So one at a time, blue player is going to be rolling 2 die, and the yellow player will roll 1. Now, whoever has the highest on that die will win. So in this case, they have a 1 and a 5. Well, 1's not going to win anything, but our defender rolled a 5. Now, because they tied, it's over. The stock fight is officially over. If you tie or the defender beats you, then it's over. But let's say I would have rolled a 3. So this is what blue rolled, this is what yellow rolled. Well, blue obviously beat me, and then they can challenge me again until all my stock is depleted, as long as they keep that winning streak. It only stops once the blue player, loses. So that's how stock fights go. There are other things you can do up this corner here. Instead of passing through imagination and collecting your salary, you can instead forfeit your salary for that round and move up the middle while you're moving around this track. Now, why would you want to move at the middle here? Because in the middle, and this is where a lot of the American Dream cards come in, they're going to give you things like copyrights and great ideas and patents, and they're going to tell you have to land on that particular square here. So you can go up here and try to cash in. And these are big paydays when you get them too. But watch out, because in the American Dream deck, there are multiple great ideas, patents, and copyrights for the same brand. And the first person to cash in on that, the next person who has it, they have to throw that card away because it is worthless. You can't have 2 copyrights or 2 great ideas or 2 patents on the same square. Now, there are cards in the deck that allow you to steal that copyright or great idea or patent card while they play it. You play the stolen card, and it takes them both. Both those cards go out of the deck, and that means, like, maybe I had the Kellogg's Cornflakes card and someone else tried to cash it in. I played my stolen card. Theirs card is null and void, and then next time I can cash in mine for that great idea if I want to. Now, as you see, you have 2 little lanes here called credibility and flexibility. To be able to use these lanes, they don't really count as spaces, but you have to have had a great idea, copyright, or patent to use this. And basically it's just a shortcut to get to the middle here. Now, if you make over $100,000 in your salary, so let's say my salary just skyrocketed to the $100,000 range or higher, then I could use flexibility as well. And so it's just a quicker way to get across the board. So if I was here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could just make it around the board faster and keep racking up and getting my salary over and over again. So it's kind of like the rich getting richer there, but of course you have to have both of these to use one or the other. Now, if you have credibility and not flexibility, that means you can only use this one and move up and down wherever you want. Also helps you get into the great ideas lane a lot quicker if you got a card. You just so happen to get a card right there. All right, so that is basically how the game is played. You're going to keep going on until the first person gets $1 million, and that person is the winner of the American Dream. Final thoughts, what do I think about the board game? Well, I have been seeing this one at a antique mall for quite some time on my travels. And it wasn't until I saw another review, Norm from the Board Game Museum, that I finally decided to go ahead and get it. It was $7. I said, you know what? That's a good deal. After we played the game, I knew I made a good investment because it is a lot of fun. It's collecting those stock certificates, getting those franchises, getting more money, and all the franchises you're familiar with. So whenever we bought an NFL, we'd say, okay, which NFL team did we just buy? Or I opened up a KFC here and stuff, and it was just good fun stuff. But it was actually a really fun game. Now, the game does take a little bit longer than necessary. It kind of wears out its welcome after a while. But overall though, it's actually really fun. The decision to make if you roll 1, 2, or 3 die is very important. 3 die, I can run around the board really fast, and everyone's rolling 3 die, except for my youngest nephew. He was rolling 2 because he figured he could roll doubles better than he could roll triples. And sure enough, he was right. Before we knew it, he was making 3 times the amount any of us were, just because he was getting lucky and rolling doubles. Then all of his little brothers turned and did a different strategy. Roll 2 die, try to get doubles. The game just moves like that. And I do like that decision between rolling 1, 2, or 3 die. I didn't think that'd be a big deal, but it really is. Especially if you want to get to that exact square. You really got to make your experience cards and your die rolls count. So should you get the game? Well, to be honest, probably not at the prices they're trying to sell on eBay for. If you can find it cheap in an antique store or mall, then yes, you should pick it up. It really is a fun game. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time with another video.